The night I learned my marriage was a stage set held together by throw pillows and lies, I was crouched beside a busted deadbolt, listening to a house breathe. Locks tell the truth if you let them. They bite when a door is warped. They whisper when someone oils them before a visit. They never promise safety. They only ask for honesty. People never pay that fee. I had my van hazards ticking, my tool roll open, my coffee cooling on a window ledge. The job was routine. Repin, test, invoice, drive home. My phone buzzed with a harmless little chime. Family photos syncing from the tablet my kids share. I was bored enough to swipe. A picture filled the screen. My daughter, Maya, 12 going on 30, grinning with a milkshake and throwing rabbit ears behind her little brother Jack. It was taken at night. The reflection on the chrome straw caught a slice of neon I knew by heart. Cal's Custom Auto, my brother's shop. I smiled without thinking. Then I saw the timestamp. Tuesday, 10:42 p.m., a school night. The geotag pulsed like a heartbeat. I pinched the photo and a sliver of the background sharpened into a familiar gray On the drive home, I found more pictures. Harmless selfies in greasy light. A duffel in the corner of a frame with my brother's shop logo. A brokerage towel from Lena's office hanging in a bathroom that was not ours. The kids were in on these late errands because someone had taught them that loyalty is a game and secrets are worth sneakers. I did not throw the phone. I did not pull over and cry or scream. I drove the speed limit and counted breaths and made a rule. No police, no speeches, no therapy sessions where strangers asked me how that made me feel. It made me feel like a cheap lock picked by a smug amateur. I decided to be professional. Professional means measured steps, clean entries, no mess. I have a belt full of pics that work because I never force them. People think a break-in is loud. The real ones are quiet and boring. You make a plan. You stick to it. You leave nothing behind but the truth that something was open the whole time. When I got home, the house was already staged for sleep. The lemon cleaner sting. The island with a candle burned to the same ring Lena always leaves. I tucked my tools into the attic under the insulation and took 3 things for myself. A small inspection camera I use for seeing into door frames, a pouch of master blanks, and the key ring I had when I first started, heavy with scars. Lena came in from the shower wrapped in steam and innocence. She kissed my cheek, said the open house had gone great, said the kids were angels for staying quiet in their rooms while she finished paperwork downstairs. It was almost funny. Somewhere between us, honesty rattled in a door it no longer fit. I went to the garage. I threaded the inspection camera through a ventilation slot and held my hands still. I made a second rule. I am not the hero in this one. Heroes forgive. I am functional. I am a locksmith. I am very good at making people think they are safe. While you're here, hit the hype button. Don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? Lena sells houses the way a showman sells rabbits. Twilight open house, soft lamps, warm cookies. I showed up in my work jacket and kept my hands in my pockets. People smiled at me the way strangers smile at a man they assume cannot afford the property. Perfect. Sloane, her partner, drifted like perfume. I caught a reflection in her phone when she tipped it to check a text. He is stubborn. Cal says after the listing he'll sign. He, meaning me. After the listing, meaning after she could smile across a kitchen island and sell a dream while I stood in the driveway like a misplaced lawn gnome. The house was a stage. New toothbrushes dry as chalk. I walked it like a building inspector. In the master closet, a dustless rectangle where a suitcase had been set down often. Under a guest bed, a tangle of chargers that did not match the lamps. None of this is a crime. None of it is even proof. It is just grease on the lens where a family should be sharp. Cal parked at the curb in his glossy anger-red Charger. The color is so bright because he wants people to watch him leave. He swaggered up the walk like the house belonged to him. I met him halfway. He smiled big and put brother warmth into it. I could smell the ocean trying to clean him and failing. Got a minute, I said. For you, always, he said. I slapped him. Open palm. Not enough to break anything. Enough to make a sound. Heads turned inside. The smart doorbell caught the pop. Cal's eyes went wide and wet with confusion he wore like cologne. That's for the receipts I haven't found yet, I said. You lost it, Ev, he said. You can't handle that she outgrew you. Upstairs, a window cracked. A child's voice floated out, thin and terrified and coached. Uncle Cal, Mom said don't. The window slammed shut. Open house guests stared down at their shoes. Someone coughed into a sleeve. I smiled at the quiet and left. Humiliation stings worse than fists. Let him itch. The rumor mill rolled the next morning. Sloan left a voicemail about optics. I did not fight a story with a counter-story. I went to the marina. Ruthie works the desk there. She is the kind of person who has seen everything and can list it without moving her face. Day passes are logged in a paper ledger, and the ledger is public if you are the kind of person who asks in a friendly way and does not take pictures. Looking for Thursdays, I said. She slid me the book, tapped 3 dates with a nail that had a chip in the polish shaped like a small country. Lena's name was there beside the name of a friend who kept a skiff in a rented slip. Cal's name was nowhere. The ocean does not ask for last names. It only asks that you know where the rocks hide. At home, I opened the phone bill. Family plans tell you who calls who and when. I circled the prepaid number and drew lines out to the times it hit. Tuesdays, Thursdays, a few Saturdays when I was at the firehouse pancake breakfast flipping batter. Nothing exciting, nothing movie-sized. Just a little clock that ticked in the corner of my life while I poured syrup for strangers and told their kids not to touch the ladder truck. That night I tailed Cal. Rain made the road a skin. I hung back with the caution of someone who knows how quick brakes bite on wet asphalt. On wet nights, tailing is math. 2 car lengths is fine at 30, a joke at 45. Brake lights become a metronome. Yellow lights are coin flips. I kept my hands loose on the wheel and let the wipers set a rhythm I could keep without thinking. When he went wide on a turn, I let a delivery van slide between us and took the next corner slow to keep the same song. He gunned it through yellow toward the alley behind the VFW. I took the corner and still got there in time to see him stashing a duffel behind a pallet. He saw me and decided to be a bigger man. He squared up because men like him are told square is strong. He bumped chest to chest. I stepped aside like a matador and let him swing. He overextended like he always does. I caught his wrist and set it down hard on the hood. He hissed and I let him go immediately. That is important. I am good at what I do, and what I do here is not harm. I do theater. I know where your soft metal lives, I said. You're insane, he said. Rear quarter panel, I said. He blinked. The rain drew lines down his face. He thought of his car before he thought of my wife. That is a kind of truth you cannot coach a kid to hide. The twist is not magic. It is paperwork. Months earlier, Lena and I refinanced the house for her staging business. Better rates, better optics for her brand. She wanted sole title to play up the woman who built herself angle. The mortgage guy sold her a balloon clause tied to a specific asset sale. We both signed. The asset in question was my locksmith business. I could sell it whenever I wanted. If I did, the clock would start on a balloon payment due in full. We did not expect to test the clause. We expected to grow old in a house that would become a bullet point in a brochure. A balloon clause is a timer with a polite voice. It does not care why you sold. It only cares that you did. When it goes off, the bank does not send a cake. It sends emails with attachments. The totals are simple. The calendar is cruel because it is accurate. We built that clock together at a closing table with lemon water and pens chained to the desk. The week I sold everything, I also sold the business name and the phone number to a kid with clean hands and big eyes who came to the firehouse every summer to ask about the engines. Market price, papered clean, no fraud. The sale did what the clause said it would do. It turned a quiet monthly into a sudden now. Sloane heard about the slap and the Marina whispers and suspended Lena pending review. No showings, no staged photos. In real estate, reputation is drywall. It looks solid until a small leak rots it from behind. Sloane did not need facts. She needed distance. She told Lena to take a breath and then took away her air. The staged smiles and just listed posts slowed, then stopped, then got pushed down the feed by people who were still allowed to sell happiness. The brand went gray fast. I picked one of Lena's listings for the next act. I went during another Twilight show with a windbreaker and a smile. The homeowner had asked me earlier in the week to reprogram the smart lock and test the sprinkler system because the last tenant had messed with both. I did that. I keep receipts. I also noticed the smart TV was logged into the owner's photo app. Public. When the room was full enough, I used the owner's remote and cast a slideshow. Kids in a greasy shop, milkshakes, rabbit ears. A man in a blazer tried to pretend he did not understand what he was looking at. A woman near the sink started texting so fast she mistyped 3 times and then kept going. Someone laughed once and then swallowed it. People love drama as long as it does not drip on their hardwood. Lena's Lexus. Time stamps like drum beats. A brokerage towel in a bathroom that was not our bathroom. The guests were quiet and then they stopped pretending to be quiet. Phones came out. Sloane was not there to manage optics. Cal was. He shouldered through the kitchen like a bull who failed algebra. "You shut it off," he said. "You first," I said. He shoved me. I pivoted and hip-checked him into the staging buffet. Glass went like rain. I held my hands out to show the room they were empty. I pressed a button on the homeowner's remote, and the sprinkler test mode kicked. Mist fell. Sirens rolled in from the street. Fire. The alarm panel had pinged dispatch during a test. Chief Donnelly stepped into the doorway and looked at me the way a man looks at a problem he cannot write up. "You did the test right," he said. "All by the book," I said. He looked past me at the wet guests and the cheaper now of the staging blankets. He nodded once, like goodbye, and let the building breathe. The balloon hit. The bank wanted a number. The brokerage wanted Lena quiet. The drip did not stop. Cal's shop took a punch in reviews. His insurance company called about the on-premises altercation. Premiums do not like altercations. He paused his restoration jobs. The charger sat under a cheap cover that held rain like a bowl. I sent no more messages. I asked no one for a meeting. I waited at the shadowed edge of a parking lot and let them come to me. Cal called first. Midnight. He said we were going to fix this like men. I told him I would be at the shop in 20 minutes. I walked there. The bay doors were up. The smell of solvent hit like memory. A torque wrench hung from a pegboard. I took it down and slammed it once on the concrete for sound and not for use. Sound is a tool. He came at me fast. I pinned him to the lift post with my forearm across his chest. "I count to 5, I said into his ear. "At 5, I let go and you back up or we find out what kind of metal you are." "Get off me," he said. 1, I said. "You ruined my life," he said. 2, I said. "You scratched my car," he said. 3, I said. He was still struggling when I reached 5. I stepped back. He stayed against the post for a second too long, and the second is the truth. "I did not ruin your life," I said. "I just took away the props. If your life falls without them, maybe check the screws." Lena's call came while I was still in the bay. Her voice had edges. The bank had called. The balloon did what balloons do when nobody is careful. It popped. She said words like unfair and sabotage. I reminded her we signed the papers together. She asked where I was. I said outside. It was true in a way. She raced home. I went there on foot. The porch breaker box hums if you stand close. It is on the exterior wall because the contractor who built our house was lazy in a way that saved me trouble. Lena's car nose appeared out of the fog. She parked crooked and sprinted to the door with keys that fit locks I had retired yesterday. She tried the door again like repetition could rewrite hardware. The key scraped, complained. and told the truth. Behind the glass, the hallway mirror showed me small and distant, and then showed Lena larger than life. Cal shifted his weight and lost a little more height. Cal pulled up limping. Neighbors peered out from windows like cats in a shelter. "Open it!" she yelled at me from the steps. "This is still my home." "It is," I said. "For a little while longer." She started to say a sentence I had heard before. I walked to the edge of the property line and faced the house like I was looking at a stranger about to make a mistake. I took out the remote for the lights I had installed. I clicked once. Nothing. I clicked again. The whole house came alive at once, lights blazing through fog. Letters on the hanging rider under the realty sign glared white. I had loosened the bracket earlier that day. The sold rider tilted, slid, and fell with a clatter. Lena flinched and then hated that she flinched in public. Cal winced like his knee remembered it was a knee. The neighbors did the math faster than the bank had. House sold to satisfy a debt. Brand suspended for optics and ethics and whatever word people use when they are afraid to say the simpler ones. Shop paused. Charger under a wet cover with a bright question mark scar turning rust color at the edges. I tossed Lena the old keyring. She grabbed it. "One key is missing," I said. "Not one you own." She looked down and counted. I clicked the light remote and shut the house back into darkness. "Where will you go?" she said. She said it like she meant, "Where will you go without me?" "I can get in anywhere," I said. "You're a monster," she said. "I told you I am not a hero," I said. "This is me being functional." Cal limped up the walk and stopped short of the bottom stair. He stared at the question mark on himself made steel and paint and weather. He started to say my name like a threat, and it turned into a cough. "Please," Maya said from the door behind the glass, small and brave and done. Jack stood beside her with a face like sandpaper. "Please stop being loud." Please did what police never could. I nodded and stepped off the curb. The street took me like it had been waiting to witness something, and finally got paid. Rain came sideways off the harbor. At the corner I turned back once and saw Lena on the porch with the keys and Cal holding his knee. I turned away and walked into the storm. I walked steady, not fast. Chasing is for people who still want returns. Now the sign lay flat in the yard. The neighbors went back to their televisions. The town exhaled. The quiet after a fall is different from the quiet before it. Before, you can still pretend. After, the dust outlines the shape of what used to stand there. I felt none of the relief people promise in books. I felt alignment, like a door finally set right in its frame. I told them once that locks keep honest people honest. Tonight, I just removed the pretense.